Great. Yeah, a big welcome. Most of you probably know my name. My name's Keturaja, but if I haven't met you, very nice to have you here. I'm also really pleased up front here for this evening. I have two good friends, Sudipta and Pasadanita. I'll be saying a little bit more about them later. We're going to have a sort of conversation. It's not going to be a formal interview or anything like that. There's no job.
I'm scared.
There's no job. There's no job at the end. But I'm very pleased to have them up here, and I hope that they'll help us draw out the topic for this evening. Yeah. So, we're on the third evening of the series we're doing at the moment. We're covering what might be called the 6 distinctive emphases of the Triratna community. So these are 6 particular features which really characterize the nature of this Buddhist tradition. That's what we're trying to draw out. We're trying to draw out the significance of these 6 features. And tonight we've come to the third one, which is a unified order. That may sound a little bit abstract, so I'm hoping that as the evening goes on we'll draw out a little bit more what that really means and what kind of, in a way it's an exploration of what the Triratna order is. The Triratna order is, all this runs, as it were, under the auspices of the Triratna order. I realised, thinking about this, I'm very happy to talk about the order. I'm a member of the order, hence I'm wearing this. I've been an order member for over 30 years, so I love talking about the order. But I don't often step back and think about it really. In some ways I'm thinking I sometimes take it for granted really. But it is a wonderful thing to be involved with, and it's a wonderful thing because of all the other people, the men and women, the friends that I have within the order. That's what makes it special. It's both special, it's a bit unusual, and there's a little bit of mystery in it really, because people are mysterious and the communication is mysterious. So it's an interesting thing, and I'm thinking I have friends in the order all over the world. So I have order member friends in New Zealand, Australia, in Mexico, and in India, and many other countries. So the order brings me in contact with people who are practicing the Dharma in lots of different contexts, and that's wonderful. It's wonderful to meet people and to get to know people practicing in different contexts. It reflects, well, it's wonderful just getting to know them, but also reflects something of oneself. One learns something about oneself. And also, I really value that the order is made up of very different characters, very different people, very different personalities, very different interests, really. It's wonderful to be in an order with I could have a long list here, but I was thinking of, artists, composers, therapists, firefighters. And when I say firefighters, I mean both literally and as well as metaphorically. There's quite a few metaphoric firefighters, but there's 1 or 2 firefighters. So, but what I'm basically saying is there are people in the order doing lots of different things, lots of different professions. Some of them are full-time involved in Buddhist centres like this, but others have conventional jobs. There's people who are in families or raising children. There's retired people. There's single people. There's people in relationships. So I love this rich diversity. There's people who are retired and in their 80s, and there are order members who are still in their 20s. There's that whole range. Yeah. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of my own enthusiasm and connection with the order. But what I want to do is just, before talking about this topic, the specific topic of a unified order, and entering into conversation, I just want to sort of just do a quick recap on what we've already done. Because these first 3, the six characteristics, 6 particular emphases, the first 3 I think kind of go together, and in a way what they establish is where the Triratna community fits within the wider Buddhist tradition, where Triratna stands, as it were, within the wider Buddhist tradition, where we stand with the Buddha's teaching and how and the means by which we practice. So the first week I was here and I talked a bit about the Triratna traditions being non-sectarian. So what that means is Triratna finds inspiration from the whole range of the Buddhist tradition, from Zen to Tibetan Buddhism, to Theravada Buddhism, to lots of different schools. So it finds inspiration, but it doesn't solely identify with any one of those traditions. So it's, in that sense, it's non-sectarian. But as I said in that first week, we don't just absorb all the teachings without some discernment. We try and bring a discernment, a critical faculty to those different teachings, to provide a set of teachings which fit together as a whole and work together as a whole. And we do that by, with reference to our teacher and founder, who founded Triratna, his particular experience, his very wide knowledge of the different traditions within Buddhism. Secondly, through the observation of what really works, what practices and teachings, meditation, what works for people, particularly in the West here today, in the modern society. And we also look with reference to the core teachings of the Buddha that can be found in the early texts. The essential principles are all there in the early Buddhism. Yeah. And as I say, I think one needs to find, to practice effectively, one needs to find, I would say, a set of practices, a system of practice even, that coheres and works together, and the different practices support each other. So that was the first week, and then last week Arthur Siddhi drew out the particular emphasis, that of the centrality of going for refuge. So what he meant by that was, again, our founder explored for a long time what was the thing that really defined what it meant to be a Buddhist, what makes you a Buddhist. And what he thought, and is embedded within the order, is it's about taking what I call in Buddhism, the whole of Buddhism, the three jewels, the ideal of the Buddha and what he represents in terms of the potential for the enlightenment, the teachings, the way or the path towards enlightenment, and the Sangha, the community. Those are the three jewels. Those are the most precious things. And so Sangharakshita saw that taking refuge or committing or reorientating one's life in relationship to those three ideals was, he thought, the central act of being a Buddhist. So that's a bit what we explored last week. And he also talked about that going for refuge or orientating your life to those ideals is not a one-off thing. It's something that unfolds, and as one's understanding deepens, so one can orientate oneself further towards those ideals. So it's a progressive thing, really. There's a traditional simile of the ocean. If you enter the sea, you do so gradually. The sea slopes down gradually. So as one practices, one becomes more accustomed to the Dharma, and one can step further, as it were, into the sea of Buddhism. And finally, last week, I thought Arthur Siddhi drew out very well that what one is going for refuge to, what one is orientating oneself, can't be pinned down. So the teachings and ideas can be helpful, but you can't fully pin it down. It can't be fully expressed in words. So in a way, this comes back to the aphorism that Arthur Siddhi mentioned, was that Buddhism is caught rather than taught. It's not a matter of understanding certain things, although that is important, but it's finding some sort of resonance, some sort of connection whether that's through meeting someone who you feel embodies something of the teaching, it's reading a book which is a medium for communicating something deeper, or sometimes just seeing an image will communicate something beyond, as it were, something beyond one's usual experience. So in this way, spiritual practice is something that takes hold of one, as it were. It's something that one resonates with. Yeah. So, I think those two feed into the topic for this week, which is a unified order. Oh, excuse me.
You okay?
Yes, I've got a drink if I need it. So I think this unified order grows out of the last emphasis, the centrality of going for refuge. If you want to go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, make those things the most important things in one's life, then the question arises, what are the conditions to make that effective, to bring that about? And specifically, what kind of Sangha, what kind of community would best support the practice of Buddhism, and particularly the practice of Buddhism in our modern society, in our modern culture? So this was the question that Sangharakshita asked himself when he realised, he thought a new Buddhist movement was needed. This was meant about 50, 60 years ago. His experience was the old forms of Sangha didn't fully enough provide what was needed for us in the West. So he looked at what would be an effective Sangha, and he thought that what was needed was a particular kind of order at the core of a community. And what he looked at was, he thought it needed to be an order that was neither monk nor lay. So he wasn't saying that the life of a monk is not useful, or the life of a nun is not useful, but he didn't think that should be the defining characteristic of joining the order. So it's not lifestyle. So what he thought was needed was an order should not be defined by lifestyle, but should be defined by someone's commitment, and that commitment could be expressed in different forms. Yeah. So this is hence he came up with this aphorism that commitment to the three jewels is primary, lifestyle is secondary. Lifestyle is secondary but not unimportant. So choosing the order does not involve, choosing to join the Triratna Buddhist order does not involve taking on a particular lifestyle. Yeah? It's about committing oneself, orientating oneself to the three jewels. So the Triratna order has developed on that basis. So it now contains a wide range of people who with a wide range of lifestyles. As I said earlier, some people are single, some are married, some have families, some live in communities, and there are even those who do live a more monastic life. They've taken on to practice celibacy. That's one option, as it were. So there is this range of lifestyles, as it were. Now, the order is unified. This feature is unified in several ways, really. One of the main things is the order is unified in the sense that it's open to people of all genders. Yeah. There is not a separate order for men and women. There's one order. That doesn't mean to say that sometimes people find it useful to practice on events that are single sex. That happens within our movement. But it is one order, one unified order. And the order is open to people, and not just on the irrespective of the basis of gender, but also sexual orientation, race, nationality, caste, class, any of those social divisions which are there in society. The order is open to all. Yeah. And more than that, in a way, joining the order Well, it confers an equal status, but the status in a way is no status. I'll leave that with you, to see what you make of what you do of that. So within the order, there's no asserted hierarchy yet. That doesn't mean to say that order members don't look up to some other order members. Some other order members might be more experienced. They might have stronger spiritual capacities. That's definitely the case. So there are definitely people. I look up to other people in the order and feel I learn something from them. They're a bit more experienced and more have reached further. They're a bit further along the path. But within the order, that isn't asserted. Yeah. There's no higher ordination within Triratna. There's no cardinal. We don't quite have conclaves. So the Triratna order is not fundamentally an ecclesiastical institution. It's not some sort of religious structure in that way. It's not a legal entity even. Some order members take institutional responsibilities, but that doesn't confer them a particular status, spiritual status in itself. Yeah. So the order is in principle open to anyone who wants to make the step to commit themselves to the 3 jewels of Buddhism. There is a training to join the order, but in a way that's secondary to the current order seeing and feeling confident that someone knows what it means to take that step of orientating their life to the 3 jewels. That's the basic principle. And underlying, in this I've talked a lot about the order, but that underlies this is a belief that every human being has the capacity to grow and develop. Every human being has the capacity to move towards awakening. That's fundamental, what underlies what the order is about. And the order wants to respond to those people who want to practice as effectively as they can. And in a way, the order sees it as part of its practice to help and to assist people to practice the path to whatever degree they want to practice it. So in a way, the Triratna order has both an inward-looking aspect, in the sense that we're there to support each other to practice, to deepen our practice of the Buddhism. But it also has an outward aspect, in that we want to welcome and help everyone who has a genuine desire to practice the Buddhist path, to put it into action in their lives. Of course, the order isn't perfect in doing that, in helping everyone. And in a way, a part of the practice of our Triratna order is to see how we can do that better to a wider and wider group of people. Anyway, that's probably enough for me, probably too much. So I want to move swiftly into exploring this a bit further with Sudipta and Pasadanita. I'll just say something briefly. I got to know Pasadanita and Sudipta in slightly different ways. I work with Pasadanita, which is a delightful thing. She's really fantastic to work with. Just a bit over a year. And Pasadanita has only been ordained. She was ordained 2 years ago.
Just coming up to 2 years.
2 years, yeah, not quite 2 years. Which I can't quite believe, because it feels like she has a certain maturity that belies that being ordained recently.
I know Dom and I.
Ooh, I have to ask you about that. I'll come back to that. Anyway, it's delightful to work with Pasadanita, and it's really been enjoyable to getting to know her. Sudipta I've known for quite a while because we worked together, but also I particularly got to know Sudipta when he came and lived with us in my community for a while, which was really delightful. And even for a few weeks because he moved his family over here several years ago, and his family came to live with us for a few weeks in our community. And that was just really delightful. It was really good to get to know you and your family. So I'm very pleased to have you here. So I've got a few questions here I want to draw out. But maybe I could start with you, Sudipta, because you first contacted Triratna and first encountered order members when you were in India. Yeah. So I wonder whether you could just say about what that was like. You know, what was it like, your first encounter with order members? And
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Keturaja, for giving this opportunity. It's so nice to see all of you here on Dharma night. Right, India. I think that was around 92, 93. I was a young boy. I was studying in the secondary school. So I used to live very close to the local Buddhist center in Pune, which Lokmitra has started, Mahavira. I think Keturaja has been there.
Yeah, I've been there, it's great.
And actually cricket brought me to the Buddhist center. There was cricket match organized by local Buddhist center, and I was very keen, you know, like all Indians are crazy about cricket. So I went there at the Buddhist center. Mahavira was very new, you know. And the first impression for me, friendly, they were so open, you know. And I must tell you that that time, the chairman from that Buddhist center, he was playing cricket with us. And I was really stuck with that, you know. And he was very friendly with me. I just want to mention here, because I come from very different background, you know. I was born and brought up in Ambedkarite Buddhist family. I was born in poor family. And I never ever seen that sort of, you know, openness and friendliness during my childhood. So that was sort of, you know, like first impression. I felt, wow, this is something different. Here no one is judging me. No one is trying to find out my caste, my name, my religion, or where I live, what I do. So that was sort of, you know, like first interaction with the local order, you know, friendliness. We call Kalyan Mitrata, you know, like spiritual friendship. It's very warm. And I had a fun, that obviously, with them. I played cricket. And somehow, after that match, I started feeling, oh, I should go again there, you know. The people, they were so friendly. So that was first interaction with the Triratna, like especially with the order as well.
Very good. Pasadanita, can you say a bit about... You were in Bury St Edmunds,
I was, all the way into a very long way away. Yes, so, okay, how to say this? So I'd been suffering a lot. I'd had a very severe depression after like 2.5, 3 years of very one stressful life event after another, and I'd started meditating with a headspace, which before it was an app, it was just an online website, and you had a year's worth of guided meditations. So I did the year's worth of guided meditations, and it just really helped incredibly lift the depression. And I thought, right, I'm going to need to meditate for the rest of my life then. So I finished the year's worth of guided meditations. So I was looking around for a local group to meditate with, because I felt I wasn't ready to meditate on my own yet. And that's when I went along to the Bury St Edmunds group for the first time, which was about 11 years ago. And I was really struck by two things. One was the friendliness, just like you were saying, Sudipta. Everyone who was there, you know, just coming and saying hello, I felt very welcomed. And the other was the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha. And that night, someone who was then called Bill and is now called Satyacharin was giving a talk about the nature of reality. And I came away thinking, okay, I found it. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I'd found it.
Wow. So can you remember, what was your impression? So there was this order. Was that what was that like, encountering? Maybe sort of saying, when did you get to know an order member a bit, and what impression did they make on you early on?
Yeah. Yeah, as I said earlier, I felt so safe with the order member, He's so friendly and very caring. And then later on I started going to the meditation classes there. And it's very different culture in India, it's all community based, we celebrate, even meditation classes full of people, so many people, we do get like hundreds, 200s. And I was somehow, because as I said, I was born and brought up in Ambedkarite Buddhist family. So that time my mother, we used to have like two shrines, one shrine with Dr. Ambedkar and Buddha's picture, and another shrine with Hindu god goddesses. So I seen that culture from my childhood, and even during my school life, I've seen hierarchy, discrimination, even on the caste-based discrimination. And somehow I was very shy at that time. I was very shy, and I was carrying some complex and fear somehow. But when I met order member from the Buddhist center, they have taken initiative. They were asking me, how do I feel about the meditation. Before that, I never ever had experience with someone, any adult person, who is caring about my emotions or providing me security. So, you can imagine, if you come from that background, where it's caste-based discrimination, racism, and suddenly you feel like spiritual freedom. Someone is offering spiritual freedom, more care, more spiritual friendship. That was like amazing for me. Even though I come from very poor family background, I started feeling richness about friendship, having so many friends at the Buddhist center. I think that was first gift I got from the order, local order members.
So you were allowed to be open. There's a sort of confidence.
Spiritual like freedom, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. So I don't know, Pasadanita, what was it like when you first got to know order members, and what was that experience like? Can you remember?
Yes, I remember. So there were 5 order members who taught regularly at the Bury St Edmunds group, and there were a couple of things that really, several things that struck me about them. One was how different they all were, incredibly different. Not just in terms of age and where they came from, but also in terms of personality and how they presented the Dharma. And there were a couple of them for whom their teaching really resonated and the others not so much, but all of them were genuinely interested in me and the other people coming along. They definitely showed an interest. I could see that they were not just talking the talk but walking it as well. I could see that. And it really inspired me that among the 5 people, 2 of them were women. So I could see right from the beginning that the order was open to women as well as men. So it was those things that really impressed on me.
Yeah, so I'm just sort of picking up on that last thing. Was that made a real difference, that there were both men and women ordained there?
It did to me. I think I still would have gone along if there had been only men, because very strongly, if it caught the Dharma, I caught it very strongly actually. But I think the fact that there were women there who were prepared to befriend me made a real difference to me becoming more involved.
Yeah. Maybe can I go back to you, Sudipta? Just interested, well, if you want to be a Buddhist, what are there other choices? If you're in India, are there other choices of getting involved? There are other Buddhists.
As I said, because of Dr. Ambedkar's Dharma revolution, my parents they became Buddhist. But unfortunately, he died within a few months. And my parents, even though we used to have Buddhist shrine, I used to ask my mom, oh, who is this? Like I used to ask about Buddha, and she used to tell me, Buddha is Dr. Ambedkar's wife. Because Buddha looks, he has got sort of female hair, and even she didn't know about the Buddhism, that kind of ignorance she was carrying. And I used to believe that, for a while before I came across to the Triyatna. And there were a few groups, like Theravada groups and Goenka Guruji group. During my college times, I tried, Goenka Guruji's meditation retreat and Theravada monk. But I mean, meditation was great. I really enjoyed Goenka Guruji's sort of institution. But I did miss friendship, community. The caring, family sort of spirit, which I got from the Triyatna. Because I always feel Triyatna is like unique movement in the world where you can get everything, So you have beautiful Sangha where you can trust, you can go to the center where you can practice with other people. Friendship, I think that's the sort of beauty about the Sangha. And I love that because I'm sort of a people person. I like people. I always wanted to be people. And when I used to go to Goenka's meditation retreat, I used to struggle. Meditation great, but where is people? I would like to share with other people. So that was I was struggling with different Buddhist organization. I wasn't satisfied with that. But since I started practicing Buddhism with the Triyatna, I felt, oh, this is it. Like I found the path for my practice.
And was there, I'm just sort of thinking, even outside Buddhism, can you join a Buddhist order are there other orders, there are other religious orders you can?
Yes, there are. As I said, my mother, she used to practice Hindu orders, local Hindu religious groups and traditions. So, I mean, I did struggle with that, because I don't believe Hindu religion is sort of, based on equality and, openness. I don't see any spiritual freedom within that community. So because of my mom, I used to follow monkey god, Hanumana, if you know about the Hinduism. And I like monkey god, Hanumana, because he was very strong. I wanted to be like him. But later on, I did struggle with that idea, So when I started studying about Hinduism, I never attracted towards Hinduism, Hindu orders or Hindu. I mean, they got like Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. When I was in the college, one of my friend, he was practicing Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, that sort of community. And I've been there once, but I did struggle.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Just sort of get an idea of like where you grew up, what options were in terms of spiritual involvement. That's
I would like to add another thing which is important: hierarchy. So I always struggle with the hierarchy. Whenever I tried any other sort of community, even Hindu community, even I tried Hare Rama, Hare Krishna that time. It's very strong hierarchy. The caste-based discrimination. But Triyatna is very unique, When I started going to the Buddhist center, when I met order member, even I was so surprised to see that, women, they were leading the classes. I never seen within the Hindu community at that time, like women, they were leading any classes or giving any talks. So that was very...
So that was quite radical, really, in a way, within the Indian society at that time. Yeah. Oh, good. Well, it's good to draw that out. I've got my watch here, actually. What's that?
It's coming up to 8.
8. Oh, okay. Fine. Good. Good. Well, there's a few more things. So I suppose I just want to move on. So that's sort of your first encounters. I'd like to move on to what the things that made you decide, oh, actually, I want to be part of this order. Pasadanita, can you remember the time and what was there just things where you thought, yes, I would like to be part of this order?
Well, it was indirect, really. So I've been coming along for only about 6 or 7 months actually to the Buried Medicines group, and I went on a retreat. It was a week's retreat to Tara Loka. It's a retreat centre for women. Some of you may have been to it. And there was a retreat on a classic Buddhist text of the Mahayana called the Bodhicharyavatara, which some of you may know. And it was led by an order member, a female called Pasadanita. And it was a really, really strong retreat. And during the retreat, I realised very strongly that I wanted to change. And I needed to change. I wanted to transform my mind. I felt it was absolutely essential because I could see certain patterns that I was indulging in that were causing suffering for myself and other people. And so I thought, well, okay, if I want to commit myself to this, transforming myself, what do I need to do? And then I realised part of that commitment would mean deepening my commitment to going for refuge to the Three Jewels, which would really mean training for ordination. So I joined the order not because I wanted to join the order, but initially, but for that reason, because I really, really wanted the chance to transform myself, and I knew that would be a powerful way of doing it.
Right.
And the desire to actually join the order developed during the time I spent training.
Okay. Yeah. How did it work with you in terms of?
Well, my mother was so scared, She thought, she wasn't aware about the order member and monk. She thought, I'll be monk, and she was really worried about my marriage and having family. She was keep asking me, if you want to become monk, and what will happen about your marriage and family. So that was her main concern. But as you said earlier, the Triratna community is very different compared to Theravada and monk. But for me, I was so inspired by Bhante. When I call Bhante, so Bhante Sangharakshita. I was very inspired by his vision. And so basically, the Triratna movement structure has got both, like self-transformation, as you said. But another thing I'm really inspired by, community transformation, society transformation. And I was so inspired because my first inspiration was Dr. Ambedkar, his vision. And when I started reading about Bhante's book, about his vision, I felt like, because Bhante had a few meetings with Dr. Ambedkar, and Bhante has taken very seriously, Dr. Ambedkar's vision. I think he was the first Buddhist teacher in India. He has taken very seriously. And I felt, wow, this is great. And the way Triratna was working in India, I felt, wow. So Triratna has got very special vision. So it's not only personal development. They are considering about social development, social change. And so definitely I would like to change myself, through Dharma practice. But same time, I would like to see changes within the society. So that was my main inspiration for becoming order member. So through the Sangha, through my practice, so I can contribute towards the society as well. So that was main inspiration for me.
So I know that you were ordained in 2019. Yeah. When did you ask for ordination? Do you remember?
So that was before coming to the Windhouse.
Oh, it was before.
Yeah. So I became Mitra there, and because what happened, as I said, I come from very poor family background, so I was focusing on my study. So I wanted to complete my uni, so I can get a good job. So I've done some computing training, and so same time I used to go to the Buddhist center. I was doing study, But one of my order member friend has suggested me to focus on the study. So I did wait for a few years before asking for the ordination.
So lastly, we've got a little bit of time. I was sort of interested in how you both of you found that training. Or say a little bit of what that involved. Because I said earlier, didn't I, that in a way there is a training, but it's not like, oh, you do this course or this retreat and you tick a box and when you're finished you become an order member. It's a little bit more complicated than that.
As you find out as you go along.
Yeah.
So I was training for 8 years, and the training, yes, it consisted of going on ordination courses. So there was a training in our founder's presentation of the Dharma in particular, and on those retreats, as well as learning about the material, I was very much learning about myself. So there would always be the theme, the sort of the explicit theme, and then there would be a personal implicit theme for everyone on the retreat. They would have their own theme that would come up. That's sort of what's the word? Anyway, I'll carry on because I've forgotten the word. So that was getting to know myself better, as well as Buddhism, and also getting to know people in the order and in the movement better. So developing, because the order is described as a network of friendships. So I wouldn't have been ready to join the order unless I had, enough connections with enough people, and also something about me, that the deepening of going for refuge is a very difficult thing to talk about actually, but in one simple way that you can talk about it is that people needed to see that when I came up against difficulties, as well as going to my usual go-tos of whatever it might be, whether it's watching a box set on Netflix or eating chocolate or distracting oneself in various ways, that I was also looking to the Buddha's teachings to actually inform how I responded, and that I was doing that more and more on a consistent basis, and that the practice was actually transforming my experience of myself and the world.
I think there's an aspect of that. I'm interested in what you've got to say about your training. I just wanted to, there's a sense in which in a way the order tries to relate to other people as individuals. So it tries to cut through the range of conditioning and all those things. It's not that those things aren't important to understand, both for the person themselves to understand their own conditioning, but also for the order to understand someone's conditioning. Both of those things are important. But as it were, underneath, where you sort of say the order ideal is a network of relationships, it's a network of individuals relating to each other. And I think you drew that out very well in what you were saying. But I'm interested in how you found your training. You were training mainly, you went on retreats here in the UK, but did you also, because obviously there's a training program in India as well as in the UK. Did you go on both?
Both.
Yeah. So maybe you say a bit more about that.
First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to the Bhante Sangharakshita, because I'm very fortunate to have training in both sort of situation, in the East and in the West. It's very interesting training. Yeah,
that's why I was very interested to hear how you found that.
Because in India, it's more community-based training. So, like we do meditation together, we do study together. It's more focused on community-based, like society. And here in the West, we focus on our own psychology, our own sort of development. So that's sort of first priority. But they both are important. So I'm so fortunate to have two sort of opportunities. So It's like coming from different background, even my Dharma sister Pasadanita, she come from different background, but we went through same training. So it's very interesting. And when I was in UK, I used to do retreat with people from different culture, different country, different background. And I must tell you, I did struggle at the beginning, but it was my process, And I do remember during my meeting with Bhante, I did talk with Bhante about my problem, and I was struggling. And Bhante was very clever, he read my mind, and he told me, like, this is an opportunity to learn. That's it. He didn't say anything, So I did reflect on that, and I said, wow, this is an opportunity. Yes, that's true. Because when I was in India, I just struggled with this sort of, like discrimination, caste-based, and when I used to go to college, and suddenly in UK, no one was asking me about my caste, my background, my surname, no one was trying to find about my caste, where you come from. So even though people, they come from different background. So that was very interesting, So, but again, I must tell you, like Keturaja is here and Sadaraja is here, I did get opportunity to work with the right livelihood business. So in India, during my Mitra study, we did study Eightfold Path, and right livelihood business, that was sort of dream for me in India. I thought I never ever get this kind of experience, but when I came to UK, so I did get that opportunity to explore right livelihood business as a practice. And I never lived in community in India, but in UK I did get that opportunity to explore community life, living and practicing with the Dharma brothers. So it was very interesting journey, and I will encourage all of you to try it. Why not?
Why not indeed, yeah. Good. How are we on the time? Sorry.
Okay, so it's 8:10.
Okay. Well, I've got a few more questions, but having the opportunity to have both Pasadanita, has anybody else got any questions about they'd like to ask one of them?
I'd like to ask Sudipta, how did it come about that you came to the UK then? So you got involved in Triratna in India when you were a schoolboy still, but you must have made a decision during your school years that this is what you wanted, and that was going to involve coming to the UK or coming to Europe in some way. So what was the process by which you ended up coming here?
Well, during my university, I used to go to the Buddhist center, and I completed my uni in 2002, and I became Mitra that time.
In India?
In India,
right,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said earlier, I was studying Eightfold Path that time, and I was thinking about this right livelihood business. And during that time, I met this nice gentleman, Sadaraja in Pune. I mean, that was sort of, I was so fortunate to meet him. And Sadaraja told me about Windhorse. We had a long chat, and I was so inspired by his sort of, like his idea, and he told me many things about Windhorse. And I thought this is a great opportunity to explore my ordination process and explore sort of new opportunity. And another thing, I wanted to see the Sangha, because in India it was limited Sangha. Sort of just, the people from certain community, they used to go to the Buddhist center. And I always thinking about, like wider Sangha, because I used to hear about the Western Buddhist order from Subhuti and other order members. So I was very curious about the UK Sangha. Yeah, so that was my main motivation.
Were you already married with family?
I'm not that time. No, I was single. Yeah.
Okay. It's really interesting to hear that journey. How you went from being a child of an Ambedkar family to coming here and being, the position you're in now. It's really amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I got one.
Yeah.
Pasadanita, what was it about hearing a talk on the nature of reality that made you really that you wanted to commit to that suddenly to that level?
That's really good. I can't.
On that?
No,
Maybe
I can't explain
it. Might
it.
be difficult.
I can't explain it, but I felt. How did I feel? when I was listening to the talk, I just felt completely electrified. And there's something in my life I hadn't realised, but I'm very, very keen on. I'm an amateur science buff. I'm not a scientist, but I read loads and loads of science books, popular science books, and for a long time I've been wanting to understand the nature of reality. And I had this idea that I had this sort of materialistic worldview, in the sense of everything is physical, and that the idea that science has is that you can be an observer outside of what's going on and you can observe it, but and actually reality doesn't work like that. So science can have some answers, but it can't possibly have all the answers. So the fact that what the talk was suggesting, that we could dive into the nature of reality by diving into the nature of our own minds, that was just like, I just thought, oh, I'm up for this. So I think that was probably the best explanation I can give. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Ah, Julie over there.
Just thinking about, was there a poor habit or a condition that you remember kind of arriving with that your practice has helped you to undo?
Is that a question for me, Julia?
You.
Great.
Yeah, no, it's yours. It's yours.
Okay, it's mine. Oh gosh. Okay, so there's one habit in particular. Well, this was the habit I really noticed on that retreat, when I decided I wanted to transform my mind and I needed to transform my mind. And it's still a habit, but it's a lot less strong than it used to be, and that's careless speech, thoughtless speech. I used to have a very strong habit of, if I felt slightly uncomfortable socially, I would blurt out something in the attempt to feel more comfortable, and I would try and say something clever or something funny, and most of the time what I said was neither clever nor funny, and a fair amount of the time it would offend somebody. And I saw this really, really clearly on that retreat, and I just so regretted all the pain I'd caused people over the years. And that, to a large extent, has fallen away. Yeah. Thank you for asking the question.
Thank you, it's fascinating.
I have one last question I want to.
Do I need to answer your question or just for?
Sorry.
Sorry.
I was saving it.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. It's very interesting. As a young boy, I was struggling with the inferiority, and I was very shy. In few words, Triyatna gave me confidence. I was struggling with that. And I just want to add more things, Even Dr. Ambedkar and Bhante Sangharakshita, they are not my biological parents. But I always feel they are my parents. They are my parents. Like Dr. Ambedkar gave me birth as a Buddhist, but Bhante Sangharakshita has taught me how to walk on the Dharma path. So that kind of sort of, strong connection I got with this community. And I always feel so grateful. So it was difficult. It wasn't easy. It wasn't like miracle. So, but as I said earlier, spiritual friendship helped me quite a lot to get out from those hindrances or difficulties. I did struggle because I come from very different background, caste conditioning and society structure. But Triyatna helped me quite a lot to work on those difficulties. So I'm always grateful. Yeah.
Good. Well, I think in a way I'd like to ask more, but I think it is tea break time, so we should wind up there. I just want to say thank you very much. I mean, I've really enjoyed hearing about and hearing a bit more. Yeah.